Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Jewel. We're on the part 4, our final part of making the stationery set, where you can transpose the cover when you're finished with the set into a journal cover. So this was the finished project of the first one. The first time I made one, and here is what we are working on. So we're going to get right into it, and if you've missed the other parts, they will be listed below this video, the links. Okay, so where we were, we had finished the cover, and we had finished the little booklets, and I have 3 of them here, and what I did is I simply came in and finished sewing them, and we added the papers, but I came in and I sewed them all. So we had done one of those together, and I finished the other 2 of these little little notebooks that can be put in a purse or put in an envelope and given, and then I just secured them. I put the little pieces of parchment paper in between, secured them with this seam binding here, and let me go ahead and tie this back up because we're going to tuck it in the front when we put this whole thing together. So there's that, and we'll put these aside. So that's what you're going to do with your little booklets if you so choose to, and then we will attach them to the cover afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and put that away. And where we are now is we are going to construct one of the large cards and one of the smaller cards, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to do the envelopes and put the whole thing together. And I have it pretty much together here except for 1 card of each. So there are 6 of the mini cards, and these are 3 by 5, 3 1/4 by a 5-inch card, and we are going to make one of these today. And then I made so I've made 5 so far, and let me put that aside. So we're going to start with the mini card, and then we're going to come in and make the 5 by 7 cards. So whoops, I'm crooked. Here, let me slide this in a little bit there. That should be better. Okay, now I've got some cardstock here. So if we're making a 3 by 5-inch card, that would be this size, I simply took some manila paper, and let me get my inking paper here, put this down. So if we're going to make a 3 by 5 and it's 5 inches this way, you're going to want to cut your paper to, 5 inches in the length, and then if we want it, or 3 1/4, then we're going to want, or 3 1/2 rather. Was that 3 1/2? No, it was 3. I think it was 3 1/2. Then you're going to want 7 inches in the width. So you're going to cut down your cardstock, and then you can either use a bone fold or a not a bone folder, a scoreboard, or you can simply just do this. Fold it over. Okay, so now we're going to come in and ink it, and I'm using Distress Oxide. And let me see, I've got my image I want to use, and this is going to go on here, but we're going to actually back it on here first. So let's go ahead, I'm getting ahead of myself, and go ahead and do some inking. Just all around the edges, because we're antiquing this, because this is an antique botanical kit that I'm using, a digital kit, where I shrunk the images down, and I went over how I did that last, I think it was the last, either the last video or the second one. where I shrunk down the images to the size I wanted for each of the two size cards that I'd be making. So I'm going to do the inside as well, even though we're going to be covering this. We're just going to do like some matte type covering of it. So let's just get that inked up all the way around. Okay, now what I want to do is let me pull out one of these so I can show you for reference. You see I've got a parchment paper backing right here. And let me pull out one of my big ones so you can see it's not a necessity to sew. Let me pull out two of these. Got the parchment paper in between. It gives it so it presents nicely if you're going to be giving this as a gift. Also, it protects your photo paper and your ink. So you can see this one I sewed, and this one I did not. So it's not necessary to sew. I've sewn every one except for this. So since my sewing machine is over there, we're going to make these two cards without sewing them. But what I want to do is I want to cut a piece of this parchment writing paper down to the size I need, and I'm just marking it there. Let me get my just gives a nice finished look where you're actually just matting it. Plus it gives a little bit more I think I just looks a little crooked. Let me see. Yep, let's get another piece. I've got a piece here. Got a couple pieces here. Let's try that again. Sorry about that, guys. Trying to fit everything on my desk here, and I should have done a better job cleaning up before I came in to do this last video. I'm working on other projects at the same time I'm doing this, so I really have quite a bit going on in here. Okay, so this should be the piece. Let me move this away, just over to the side, because I'm going to need it again. And we are going to do the inking of this piece now. Now this already has that kind of antique look, so I don't need to go over the whole thing. All right, now here's our little card we're going to mat. Our little image that I shrunk down, the botanical image. And I want to put it up toward the top because I want to have room down here for, actually, yeah, down here for the label. I'm trying to think if I want to put the label. I did make a couple of these up ahead of time. I was also thinking maybe just to put it right in the middle of this one and put the label over this little part. So these are called the calligraphy. Let's see how that's going to look on there. Yeah, I kind of like, I think I might put it right in the middle and put this in here, or I could do this where I put a little piece of parchment. No, that's too big. So I think we'll just do this, and I'll do it in the middle. Okay, let's go ahead and glue this down to here first. I'm going to open it up, and I'm just going to use my Fabri-Tac. Now, this is when I would, after I mat it is when I would, or before, take it to the machine and sew it on. Sew on the image on. I'll show you in a minute what I mean. Right here, see? But we're not going to sew, so we're just going to mat it. And glue it. Now this, I think I've already inked it. I just put a little more, just to get a little more antique-ier. So I hope you guys are enjoying this series. I think that these make lovely gifts. And also, if you have a friend that likes to make junk journals, you can gift this, and then you can add the papers with it, where they can sew the papers into that cover afterwards and make a junk journal out of it. Okay. The folder part can be made into a journal. So if you missed that, it's in the series. I think in the first or the second one I explained how to do that. So I'm just going to put this right in the middle here. So this makes a nice little frame. And I went over how to make these little label things and where I got them in the last video. Okay, now what we're going to do, this is when I would take it and sew this part down, but what I want to do is I want this card to be a little heavier, so I'm going to take another piece of cardstock and I'm going to mat the inside back cover, and I'm going to do it actually 2 times, one with this and one with the regular cardstock, and one, let's see if this is big enough. Yeah, this is like, I'll just cut this down a little bit more, and then one with the parchment on the top. So it's going to look like this. So I have 3 layers. I've got the bottom cardstock, I have the framed, or I framed that with another piece of cardstock, and then a piece of the parchment. So it gives a nice finished look to your card. Okay, let's pull this back over here and cut this down. And we're going to cut this piece down. I just want to make sure that this is going to be on the inside of this. I think I'm going to have to, yeah, this is a little too wide. I want to make sure it looks like it's matted on and being double matted, which it is, so I want to make sure it's small enough to sit on the inside of that. So this is what I'm trying to say. See, now it's still just a tad too long, so I'm going to just take a little bit more off it. And there, that, yeah. So there you go. I'll do it on this side so you can't see my pencil mark. Okay, so we'll move that aside and we'll do a little inking. This is just a nice option to make, you know, to take a break from journal making or from just regular card making, or you can make a whole nice stationery set. And you know, we've got Mother's Day coming up. Everybody's got a friend that's got a birthday, and or just somebody that you just want to just gift something to, and you feel like getting into your creative side and doing a special gift. especially for our crafty friends, those that do enjoy handmade items. And okay, we're just going to do a little inking here. And glue this on. See if I can get that right in the middle. A little shaky today. All right, there we go. Very good. And so here's one of the cards. Now, you can come in and do parchment paper on the other side as well, or triple matted on the other side. And that would even, you know, make it a little fancier. So there's the small one. So now I have, I may come back and come in and sew that, then cover the inside cover with this so it covers the sewing. I might do that. But for right now, we will put this in our folder. Now, what I did is, you know, I made all these cards ahead of time so you didn't have to sit through them, but I did show you the small, where I shrunk them down. So that one says thank you. This one says happy birthday. So, and then I have 3 more on that side. So we will do a final flip of this whole thing in another video. Okay, so wait a sec. That's 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's 3 on this side. Okay, now 2 things. When you make your envelopes, you can just take the 3x5 envelope, come in and ink it, and have it that way. Or what I did is I took a little bit larger envelope. Whoops, got one of my hairs over here. And I cut it down, okay? And so I could sew it. So this will still end up being a good size for the 3x5, but I just wanted more of that handmade antique look. And I will actually, let me show you this. So you can see I had cut the edges off this, okay? And then I think I also cut the bottom off. So then, let me show you real quick. Let's put this away. Let's put these away, and then let me pop it in here. So I have 3 on each side and 3 envelopes on each side. And I'm going to just show you that real quick, how to make this envelope. Let me pop this in here. So I've got the 3 envelopes and then the 3 cards. I'd like to have the stitching all go the same way so it presents well. And in between each of the cards, you saw I cut a little piece of parchment paper for the size. So this was a 3 1/4 by 5 inch. I cut it probably like a 3x5, and I just put a piece of that in each one. So let me pull my cutter over here so I can show you how I made the cards. And I also made the envelope. I also made the larger envelope. So I cut off the sides. Okay, I determined the size I needed. I need it to be a little bigger than this, so I cut down my envelope so I would have room for stitching, and then I just came in and cut off the sides. Hope I'm in frame. Sorry, guys. And then I determined how much I wanted off the bottom. So let's say it would be this. I'll use this for another project because, whoops, I don't need any more. Okay, so after that, I was left with this piece here, which had these side deals. Now you can leave those, but what I did is and you can just sew right over them. I pulled them off because I wanted to round the corners of each of these, and my corner rounder, and so I rounded the corners. Okay, so then I have this like this. Of course I inked, and this is when I went, and you can modify any envelope you want if you don't feel like making envelopes, or you can make your own envelopes. You can cut them down if you don't have the right size. You can modify any envelope by doing this process. And then I came in and I sewed all the way around here, but I also took it and I rounded the corners of the flap so it would give a nice finished look. Okay, so then I would just sew all the way around there. Then so it would be more of an antique. I came in and inked, used my brush so I could come in and get in this part here, and inked around the edges here. This was inked, and to give it that, so it looks like somebody's been handling the envelope, you know, through the years around the edges. I use less ink in the middle than, see, so you have more of this look where there's less ink in the middle here. Okay, so this would look like this. Actually, I put a little bit more. And then after I would sew, and then I would do the same thing to the outside. So just ink the whole thing. Come in. So it ends up looking, you pull one of these back out like this. Here's the front. Oops, here's the front like this. And here's the back. Okay, and here's the inside. Okay, so that's how I did the envelopes, and I did the same exact thing to the larger envelopes. So the envelope would look like this. Okay, I cut off the sides, and then I cut off the bottom to the size I needed. So with this one, I would need this much cut off. Then, after I cut it off, I came in and I just peeled down these little side thingies, did all the inking, took it to the machine, sewed around, and then came back and just did a little extra inking. So then I have 6 of the large ones for my 6 cards and 6 of the small ones. Now let's go ahead and make a large card. If I have the, thought I had a piece of card cut down. Oh, I did, but I used it. Okay, so we're going to need, if that's a 5x7 card, so let me pull the card out. Here it is, right here. So I believe it's 5x7, so we're going to need 7 inches in length, and then we're going to need 5 and 5 because we're going to fold it, so we're going to need 10 inches in width. So let's get my cutter here, and we're going to need, let me pull it out. So we're going to need 10 inches. And we're going to need 7. So 7 is the length. Fold it or use your bone folder. I usually do the bone folder. I usually do the scoreboard because I like the way the crease gets. It's less cracked looking. But for this video, I'm going to do it this way. Okay, come in and ink it. And then we're going to do the same layering, but the only difference is I add some lace trim underneath the label. or the sediment, sentiment. Now guys, I had one of my viewers come on and tell me I've been spelling the word stationery wrong because it's stationery, N-E-R-Y, and I've been spelling it like if you were standing still, stationery. And I think I've been doing that pretty much my whole life. So I appreciate the kind viewer that said, oh, and by the way, that's not how you spell stationery, as stationery is with an A-R-Y if you're standing still, like you're stationary. And then if it's the, stationery, paper, cards, etc. And so anyways, I went in and changed all that last night, and spelled it correctly. Never too old to learn something new. All right, now we're going to take another piece of card. This one's, and, oh no, this is the front. I need parchment paper because we've still got to do our image. So we are going to cut this down. To frame it. Still have a couple days. Whoops. I lost my pencil. Oh, there it is. A couple days left for the drawing for my giveaway. My encourager giveaway. So if you there's still time for you to go in and get in on that giveaway, and all you have to do is go to someone else's channel that you watch and you appreciate them, and just leave a kind comment. So that's an encouraging comment. So that's all you have to do, and write done underneath after you did that. So it's kind of like an honors system giveaway. And I've got a stack of craft things and a little journal I made and to give away. So if you want to join that. All right, now we're going to glue this on. And then we're going to pick out our botanical image and then do our wording. Sentiment. And all those words, they're actually labels from the Labels and Words kit over on JunkWithSteph's Etsy shop. She has gorgeous, gorgeous digitals, and that's where these botanicals came from. And they're called calligraphy botanicals from the 1500s. They're just beautiful. Okay, so I think I have one over here. Got one right here. We're going to use this one. So cool. Just love the botanical and the calligraphy combined. These are drawings. Love them. So I'm going to ink this, and I feel like I need to get a little bit more in these corners. She does have quite a bit of distressing, always aging on a lot of her kits, so it takes a minimal amount of ink, and some of them you really don't need to at all. But since I'm really going in for the age look. Now I'm going to put this up here toward the top, and I'm going to do my label down here at the bottom. I don't know if I want to do that one. Nope. I'm going to use some lace down there. Now, we're gonna glue this, but I probably would also sew it. But you don't have to. You saw this one card over here. This one I didn't sew, and it's very, very pretty without the sewing. Alright, so let's make sure, yep, that I don't put that upside down. That's pretty even. A little off, but it's handmade. Okay, now what I want to do is I'm going to see if I have a little, yes, I have a little piece of this, and I'm going to cut it per the length of my label, which says celebrate. That should be right. All right, let's figure out where we want to put this. You could also put it at the top. It doesn't have to be at the bottom, but now since I centered it up this way, I have this space down here. You can do it over to one side, in the middle, or over to the other side. I'm going to do it in the middle because it has these two, this little snail and this little fly here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little glue right on here, kind of eyeballing the middle. That looks pretty good. And then we'll glue this on. And I already inked around my words, and they've been matted, so if you didn't see that part, I think I did all those in the last one, I think. Okay, so here's the front of the card. Now we're ready to finish off the inside. So we want to, that's too small. Let me grab a piece. I'm gonna cut down, whoops, I got two pieces. Cut this down to the right size. And while I'm here, let me grab a piece of parchment so I can just go to the cutter once. And this will be in the middle. Oops, move that aside. Get this back here. And we'll be almost ready to put this whole folder together. Okay, I think it's this one. Yep. And then my paper. So I'm working on a journal. I had made the cover already, one of my lace journal covers. And now I'm working on the guts of the book. So I started that yesterday, and I've been making a lot of those, and I think I'm going to take a break from them. Whoops, and move on to something else. I think I'm gonna go and build some books, do some rounded spine books from back in the day when I first started making books. I used to always make the hard covers, and then I got into doing the fabric covers, and then the lace covers, and you know, all of that. So I kind of move around as I'm inspired. So So, got some, this is bubbling over. When your glue bubbles over like that, I think it means it needs to be thinned out a little bit. And I just put a little, this is for the Fabri-Tac glue I'm talking about, your fabric glue. It's for fabric and paper. So I put a little acetone in it. You really, if you're going to use this glue, you need to have a well-ventilated area, which reminds me, I'm smelling it too much right now. So I'm going to put my fan on low. And I try to go between the Eileen's and this. I always use this for fabric, but I use, you know, the Eileen's is not as toxic, so if you have any lung issues or anything like that, just, you know, be mindful of using this in a well-ventilated room. Or you can wear a mask, you know. You have to wear the right kind though. It's got to have a little, where it blocks the chemicals. Okay, so there's this card. Now probably what I'll do is I will come in and sew around that, and then I'll put another piece of parchment there. In the meantime, let me grab my whole, let me put this aside. Oops, sorry about that, guys. I'm going to need some of this to tie up my journal cover. Okay, put this away, and I've got a couple things here that I'm going to be using to finish off this whole kit. Let's move this. Okay, we've got, where are they? Oh, I still have one more envelope to make. So I gotta make one more envelope. But since I already showed you how to do that, we won't do that on camera. So we have 3 envelopes in each side, and we have 3 cards of the large and 3 each of the smaller ones. So here's the card we just finished, says celebrate. Here's this one, it says hello friend. And I need to cut another piece of parchment paper to go right here. So I will do that after. And I'm going to tuck these in here. Now remember what I showed you is when this is finished, you simply glue down these these pockets that I've made dimensional, and you glue them this way, and then you can sew down your paper. Now, if you want to gift this, I wanted to show you this, you can take some paper, cut it to the right size that you would need for this, okay, put it all together. Let's say you've got some papers here, this one, book pages. So you can gift the whole package, and then they can, your recipient can come in and sew their signature right in. So then they can use this as a journal or simply as a folder for whatever. So let's go ahead and put these in here. Now we're going to close this up. Oh no, we're not going to do that yet. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to cut some washi tape here. I'm going to grab a paper clip. I think I'll grab this little, one of these little copper colors. It kind of goes a little bit better. And I have this sweet washi tape that peels off, so it's like a washi tape sticker. And you can add a little thing of washi tape if you want. And I'm going to simply cut 12 of these different botanicals. See how nicely it'll go? So that one, what's that, 5? I don't know. That one I'm going to put aside. It's a little bit too small. Then I will take, you get the idea. I'll come back and finish cutting these after, okay? And take my little clip these together, tuck it in the pocket, and the reason for these is you can take your envelope, let me get it, like this envelope here, peel off this, and they can use it as a label on, or to adorn the envelope right there, or you know, you can add some wax seals in here, whatever you want to do, or they can adorn the front. So it's just something for them to embellish their envelopes with, or yours. And we're going to fold it over, and now I'm going to take, I have my little booklets here. I'm going to take, you can use whatever you want, seam binding. This is like a elastic, crocheted elastic, what you call it, elastic lace. So I'm just going to put this on the front, tie it up. Actually, I just want to do a tie like this. These pop right in here. Okay, so this presents nicely. And then I have a stick pin that I made. You just get the stick pins. You add a, see, I have that faceted crystal with some gold beads. And the stick pin will just go right through here. Just, you know, for that presentation. Oops. Let me put on the other side. I'm going to cut this off a little bit. I have a little bit too much. And voila, we have this sweet little stationery gift set, limited edition, that you can take your folder when you're finished. Here's the front, here's the back. And you've got your little notebooks in here that can pop in a purse. You can take this and you can make it into a journal cover, or glue the pockets down, and you have a nice folder for storing, you know, notes, let me see, stamps, envelopes, whatever. Okay, guys, that's the end of this series. And here's 2 of them. I've got to finish up a few things in this one. This one's finished. This one is a little heavier dutier because I did, I layered it with parchment cardstock on top of it, so a little bit heavier, dutier set. I'm probably going to pop both these in my Etsy shop. This one will be a little bit more than this one because the items I used were a little bit more costly. Okay, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this, and please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks a lot, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.